This video came about because a few things have been frustrating me, especially since Blade was the second 5-star character I got when Star Rail first launched. I'm sure some of you feel the same, that this character over time has fallen further and further behind in performance compared to others, making Blade somewhat irrelevant now. Due to the game's rapidly changing meta, unique characters like Blade have had to be sacrificed. But what are the factors that make him feel outdated? And what kind of buffs would he need in the future update to catch players' attention again? In this video, let's discuss Blade's issues and explore how he could be improved. So what makes Blade less relevant in the current meta? Some issues do stem from the character design itself. For example, his damage multiplier is relatively low. Blade heavily relies on his enhanced basic attack to damage enemies, only requiring a skill point every 3 turns. While this makes him somewhat skill point neutral or even positive, his multipliers are insufficient. Additionally, Blade is unique as a DPS character with dual scaling from both attack and HP. Although he can still benefit from attack buffs, he performs much better with HP buffs or relics with an HP main stat. Another potential issue with his kit is the stacking mechanism of his follow-up attack. Since he was released early in the game as one of the older units, this may be why his talent stack cannot be overcharged. Like Jingyun, Blade can save an extra stack when he activates his follow-up attack. This issue often surfaces in battle when Blade is inflicted with hard crowd control, which prevents him to take action even when his talent stack is full. During this time, if he's attacked, he loses out the chance to trigger the follow-up attack. This missed opportunity can be frustrating and a disadvantage for Blade. What about Blade's Eidolons? In reality, Blade performs well enough even at 0 Eidolon, as some of his Eidolons don't make a significant impact on his performance. For example, his second one only grants him a 15% crit rate boost. He would benefit more from something like additional crit damage or an outright damage boost. The only Eidolon that truly stands out for him is his last Eidolon, which reduces his talent stack requirement to 4. This allows him to use his follow-up attack more frequently, but of course it's hard to justify the number of Stellar Jades needed to reach this level. However, with recent updates, a few units have emerged that might help improve Blade's performance, like Lynx and Fuxian. Lynx's skill can heal, boost max HP, and increase aggro if targeting a character from the destruction or preservation path. This naturally raises the chance for Blade to get hit by enemies, thus triggering his talent more frequently. But even with Lynx as a sustained unit, Blade still doesn't fully shine. The same goes for Fuxian. Her matrix increases HP and provides extra crit rate, both of which benefit Blade. Yet, while this makes using him a bit more comfortable, it doesn't significantly boost his overall performance. Then Jade came. She was once rumored to have the potential to become one of the Blade's base teammates, and that turned out to be true, right? So far, Jade plays a crucial role in elevating Blade's effectiveness, particularly in purification mode. Thanks to her skill that designates an ally as a debt collector, draining their HP each time they take an action, Blade's talent is triggered more frequently, making him more effective in purification. However, this synergy doesn't enhance Blade's personal damage, but rather his contribution to the team's overall output. In fact, for purification mode, pairing Jade with Herta alone is often sufficient, so Blade doesn't necessarily have to be your primary choice for this content. He benefits from Jade's presence, but he still is not an ideal main DPS. Ultimately, the reason Blade's personal damage is somewhat low may be due to a trade-off for his tankiness and survivability. Unfortunately, this value exchange doesn't particularly benefit his role as a DPS in the team. As new updates roll in, more sustain units continue to be introduced, and many of them offer additional utility beyond just keeping the team alive. Characters like Gallagher and Lingsha, for example, provide useful damage contributions and toughness reduction abilities that aid in the team breaks. In this context, Blade's role as a slightly tanky DPS doesn't provide a clear advantage. Moreover, all of the in-game content currently available in Star Rail focuses on how quickly your team can defeat enemies. This makes it challenging for Blade, whose damage multipliers are relatively low, to compete with other DPS characters. If there were an endgame mode centered around survival instead, Blade's value would increase drastically. Being the only DPS characters whose multipliers scale with HP makes it even more difficult for Blade to synergize with the current support options in the game. It's not that Blade can't benefit from Robin, Sparkle, or other supports, but so far Hoyoverse has yet to release a support character designed specifically for Blade. In other words, there is not a dedicated support whose skill revolve around HP manipulation, which is crucial for optimizing Blade's potential. Meanwhile, other archetypes already have their own dedicated supports, such as Robin and Topaz for follow-ups, Runmei and Harmony MC for break teams, and Kafka and Black Swan for dot teams. So one reason Blade feels increasingly out of place is that his core mechanics rely on the interactions that don't yet exist in the game. So what realistic steps could Hoyo take to help this DPS character unlock his full potential in the future meta? The developers could introduce new units specifically for an HP draining meta. For instance, they could create a Harmony unit that grants substantial damage buff based on how much HP is lost and restored, targeting a single ally and giving them a high aggro so they are more frequently attacked by enemies. This unit could continuously provide additional damage or crit damage buffs, as well as max HP boosts, the more often the targeted ally is hit. This kind of HP manipulation gameplay might sound familiar, especially if you also play Genshin Impact. That's right, Blade would likely thrive if Hoyo released a Star Rail version of Furina from Genshin. Just like in Furina's kit, where the fanfare stacks on her ultimate fill up faster as allies' HP fluctuates. Currently, no unit in Star Rail has this ability. However, one indication that such mechanic might come in the future is the new Free Light Cone. It's a small but meaningful gesture from Hoyo showing that they haven't forgotten about Blade and giving him a boost. While this LC might be slightly less effective than his signature Light Cone, it's a great option for F2P Blade mains, providing them with easier access to building their favorite character. Hopefully we will see an HP manipulation focused meta arrive soon. Besides a Harmony unit like that, they could also give Blade indirect buffs through new characters from other paths, such as Abundance. For example, this character could target an ally to steal their HP while significantly boosting their max HP at the same time, maybe around 30%. Every few turns, all allies, except the one targeted by the skill, would receive healing from the HP that had been stolen earlier. Meanwhile, the targeted ally would also lose HP each time another ally takes turn. This would allow Blade to trigger his talent more frequently and increase his damage output significantly. Another option could be introducing a character from the Nihility path. If this character successfully inflicts a debuff, for example that increased damage taken from basic attacks and ultimates, they will reduce the HP of the ally with the highest max HP. Alternatively, they could release a character with a kit similar to Fuxian's, or a certain blessing from the simulated universe, focusing on damage mitigation and distribution. All incoming damage will be equally distributed among all allies, so if a new HP draining archetype eventually comes into existence and becomes meta, you could build a team with various Blade-like characters from different paths, allowing them all to benefit from this shared damage mechanic. Of course, this idea is not impossible to bring to life, right? Aside from introducing new units or characters, relics could also change Blade's standing in the game. Currently, there are relics that work well for Blade, but they mainly serve to increase his crit rate. In upcoming patch, it will be great if they release new relic variants or even planner sets that revolve around HP draining and healing mechanics. After all, even summons and servants already have their best planner options available. Another step Hoyo could take is releasing endgame content based on a survival mode. Yes, I have touched on this briefly before. One of the reasons Blade struggles to compete is that current endgame content, especially MOC, Apocalyptic, and Pure Fiction, requires players to defeat enemies quickly. This makes it harder for characters like Blade, whose damage is not as high, to keep up. However, if they introduce new content focused on how long you can survive as enemy strength increases with each wave, I believe Blade's value in the game would rise significantly, considering how tanky he is. But among the things I mentioned earlier, these are all realistic actions that Hoyo could take in the future. Based on what we know and have observed so far, it seems unlikely they would overhaul Blade's kit entirely or even adjust it slightly. Even so, it's pretty exciting to imagine what could make Blade a better unit if Hoyo were open to tweaking his kit. One example would be a multiplier buff. Currently, the enhanced basic attack multiplier is only a combination of 40% attack and 100% max HP. It would be much better if the multiplier were changed to 80% attack plus 200 HP. The same could apply to his talent's follow-up attack multiplier. Another potential change, each time he uses his skill, it will greatly increase the chance of being targeted by enemies. This would also come with increased damage taken and effect resistance. Additionally, the number of stacks needed to trigger his talent could be reduced by 1 to 4, and for his E6, it could change to just 3 stacks. What would make him even stronger is if these stacks could be overcharged, making it easier for him to perform follow-up attack actions consecutively. If there is no optimization in terms of multipliers and damage contribution that is not too significant, it will be better if Blade could at least have a mechanic similar to one of the abundance blessings from the simulated universe. When Blade performs health recovery, whether from his talent or ultimate, other team members should also receive healing. This would make him a viable sustain option for the team despite his lower damage output. So, what do you think? If you could change Blade's kit, what kind of changes would you make to make him a character that players will always consider? Let me know in the comments below. So, that's the issue with Blade and why he is falling behind as the game continues to update. For now, all we can do is to wait for the developers to provide indirect buffs to him, perhaps by introducing an HP draining meta in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please support me by hitting the like button and subscribe as well. I will see you humans in the next video.